There are always lots of stories about Daniel Ricciardo. The Australian driver has been connected to many different racing teams ever since his deal to leave McLaren became official. Even though Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Haas were some of the biggest names talking about him, it looks like all these teams have decided to pick someone else instead. This is not good news for Daniel because he'll probably have to take a job as a backup driver, which is pretty embarrassing for a 33-year-old driver who has won 8 races and was one of the best drivers before he joined McLaren. But new reports say that Ricciardo might actually sign with Mercedes, which would be a big surprise. Want to know more? Stay with us until the end of this video before we talk about Ricciardo's chances of joining Mercedes. Let's discuss how his time at McLaren has gone so far. He joined the team in 2021 after finishing 5th place with Renault in 2020. Everyone expected him to do even better and fight against the top teams like Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull sometimes, along with his teammate Norris. After all, the team finished 3rd in the team championship in 2020, and it made sense to think they would keep doing well. But except for his win at Monza in 2021, where Norris also finished 2nd for a perfect 1-2 finish, Ricciardo's best moments at McLaren end there. So not only did he mess up his own future at McLaren, partly because of how he drives and partly because the car got worse in 2022 and isn't working like the drivers want it to, Ricciardo has also hurt his chances of getting signed by another team. Even though many people have connected him to Alpine and said this reunion is something that F1 really needs, the Enstone-based team has focused on Gasly instead. He's a young and promising French driver who has already proven he can drive a car that isn't performing well. As for Haas, the team probably won't pay the amount of money that Ricciardo wants and will likely offer the seat to Giovinazzi if they don't continue their deal with Schumacher for the 2023 season. After all, Giovinazzi is looking for a comeback season and will do anything that's asked of him, even drive for a small amount of money, just to prove he's still good enough for F1. That's why Haas has given him some practice sessions in Monza and Austin to see if he'll work well with the car like they expect him to. Ricciardo has talked about his future many times, and his thoughts make us believe that his future is in F1 no matter what plan the future has for him. But he also talked about sitting out a season in 2023, saying that this option is still open to him. I think there are good and bad things about all of it. There are good things about having some time off too. The last 18 months I've had have been more challenging than not, so maybe some time away would be good. After this, Ricciardo talked about continuing deals in F1, saying, but then also staying active is good. That's why I kind of want to hear everything, even if it is a backup role. I don't want to be too proud to say I'm too good for that. I just want to hear everything and see what makes sense. It could be something that sets me up better for the future, and next year may be one of those years where I need a bit of patience. He was also asked about whether he'd be willing to join a team that is more like a long-term project, such as Williams in this case, and Ricciardo said, I still definitely have the ability to love a project, but of course if there's this longer project and there's one way you're gonna win tomorrow, of course I'm gonna go for the quick wins. They are things I will definitely give some thought to. I also don't want to be stubborn or short-sighted and be like, oh, I'm not interested in that. I will give everything its respectful thought. From 2017, every 2 years I've been with a different team. I don't want to just sign something and think, wait, now something else is there for 2024, so it's probably not as simple as just getting somewhere on the grid next year. It can probably go in many different directions, so I don't think it needs to be an immediate decision. It's going to be about what's best for me. I wouldn't give up on F1 if it means I'm not on the grid next year. I'll certainly try to find a way to be there in 2024. It's honestly the only rating I'm really interested in at the moment. My mindset is still I'm an F1 driver. I'm proud of what I've done, but I still feel like there's a bit more to show, to give. I wouldn't race another category next year. Now that it's more than clear that Ricciardo will stay in F1, let's see why his seat in Mercedes is kind of the perfect place for him to go. Hamilton hasn't extended his contract with Mercedes either, and the fact that the team has increased Interest in Ricciardo for their backup driver in 2023 shows that the seven-time world champion might be thinking about retirement after the 2023 season. True, he said that he is looking to extend his deal with Mercedes, but now that there's an engine freeze and the fact that Hamilton has had a pretty big drop in performance in 2022, it's unlikely that Mercedes will be a championship-level team. In the seasons to come, still, Hamilton would have to confirm his retirement, and that way he'll have to leave a spot for Ricciardo for the 2024 season. It's very unlikely that Ricciardo will join Mercedes as their backup driver if his seat isn't open from 2024 and beyond. Even though the Australian will be 35 when he joins the team, he could be the long-term solution that the team is looking for if they replace Hamilton. Even if he isn't suitable for a long-term solution, that would bring more time for young talents like Nick de Vries and Van Dorn to develop even further and replace Ricciardo if the Australian was to retire after a time with Mercedes. A well-placed source on the grid talked about Ricciardo's possibility of joining Mercedes, saying, "Mercedes are thinking about Ricciardo to cover off the possibility of Lewis walking away at the end of the next season. Bringing Daniel into their camp means that they wouldn't be left high and dry. It also means that George would be the main man from that point in 2024. Before the Monza Grand Prix on Thursday, Ricciardo was asked about his future and he confirmed his initial thoughts, saying that his only goal is to be on the grid and race. However, he is well aware that the teams have started closing the door on him and his position is not so secure now in F1 as a starting driver. Hess isn't willing to give the amount of money Ricciardo is asking for, and Williams is far away from the desired level that Ricciardo would want to be in. After all, his goal isn't to be a backmarker, something that he constantly was in the 2022 season, which is why he may choose the option of being a backup driver at Mercedes and play the big game here. The truth is I'm keeping every option open. Not only for next year, but for the future. I still don't know what next year looks like. As Lewis said earlier, I do want to be on the grid. I do want to race. Although it's certainly been a challenging time in my career, it hasn't taken the love of the sport away from me and that desire to still be here and still compete. Lewis Hamilton, who was sitting alongside Ricciardo during this briefing, said that if it was up to him, Ricciardo would still be racing in F1 and that his time is far from over. I think he's far too talented and he's earned the right to be amongst us all racing. If he's part of our team, that'd be great, but a third role is not really what's best for him. If I was managing him, he'd be racing, said Hamilton, who also added that he's never felt better in his 37 years of life, and that he plans to extend his deal with Mercedes in the upcoming period. But after all, Daniel Ricciardo hopes for better results in Monza and has plenty of motivation after a disappointing weekend at Zandvoort. After his victory in 2021, the McLaren driver hopes to get another good result for his team, even if it will be a little harder this season. Monza will always have a special place in my heart, while another one too isn't really on the cards. This time around, hopefully we can still bring you a little bit of Italian magic. I'm excited for the track, the amazing fans, and the incredible food, the key combination for a good weekend. The Dutch Grand Prix was a weekend to forget for Ricciardo. While teammate Lando Norris went through to Q3 in qualifying, the Australian had to start from 18th place. The race didn't go very well either, with the driver only gaining one spot. Norris took home points with a 7th place finish. Zandvoort was a tough one for me, but I'm keeping my head held high. I'll keep pushing through and try to end the season on a high. What do you think will happen next regarding the Ricciardo-Mercedes saga? Do you think that this deal is bound to happen? Let us know in the comments below. Want to know more about F1? Click on the video on your screen.